Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 13. Fire and Ice. Kuyu stared, not believing. But there was no denying the power he felt. It was definitely the demonic aura of a yokai kitsune. The aura was not that strong. His own true form possessed 4 tails and was far greater than what he was sensing. There was also the fact that despite the physical transformation, the person standing in front of him reeked of humanity. But there was something else in the scent, a bare fragment that was buried beneath that human stink. It was the scent of a kitsune. Illusions could fool the eye. Voices and sounds could be copied. But there was no way to recreate a living scent. My family has long served in the royal court, Kuyu said carefully. If you are truly the great lord, you would know my lineage. Naruto smiled. It was seriously weird speaking with the fox's voice. It was even stranger to be hearing the fox in his head. He was acting as a translator, giving the guy he'd just summoned the answers he was hearing in order to convince him. I know you, Rikyo Kuyu, son of Keitaro. Your family has served me well and faithfully. Now I call upon you to continue that service. No human could know his clan name or the name of his father. He fell to his knees and cast his face down. Great Lord, I am your humble servant. Command me and I shall obey. Then listen well and hear how you shall serve me. I am bound within the flesh of this human. It is my wish that he learn the ways of the kitsune and grow strong enough to wield my full power one day. Instruct him and protect him. Treat him with all the honor and loyalty as was shown to the mighty Cadmus. Kuyu looked up, and there was understanding in his eyes. Naruto got the very definite feeling that he was missing something. My Lord Kyuubi, I understand, and I shall fulfill your wishes. Inside his head he heard the fox laughing. Then I trust you will serve me well. Naruto felt the voice in his head fade away. The red chakra disappeared and he transformed back to his normal form. Kuyu got up to his feet and came forward. What is your human name? I will not refer to you as Lord Kyuubi. His manner was polite but stiff. Naruto answered carefully. I am Uzumaki Naruto. And tell me, Uzumaki-san, how did the most powerful of all yokai kitsune end up a prisoner in a human boy? The tone remained polite but the eyes flashed with emotion. 16 years ago, the Kyuubi. Lord Kyuubi, Kuyu snapped. Naruto looked up at the tall fellow with the flowing blonde hair. The Kyuubi, he repeated, attacked my village. The most powerful ninja in the village was able to defeat him by sealing him into a human newborn, me. I see, Kuyu replied courteously. Well, that does explain why the great lord has been away for so long. We all knew he was not dead. For so long as he lives, no other yokai kitsune can gain 9 tails. You must feel most honored. Many humans worship members of my race as gods. That is what the great Lord Kyuubi is to us, a being of such might and majesty as to be almost godlike. I hope you understand the rare privilege you enjoy being joined to such a divine presence. Naruto looked at him blankly. How about we leave my feelings for the Kyuubi out of this? I was told you could give me instruction in how to access the power inside me safely and at will. Kuyu nodded. I will teach you the same lessons I learned as a kid. Despite being human, you should still be able to access the power so long as Lord Kyuubi allows it. In time, you will be able to access greater and greater amounts of it. Until the day comes you are able to draw the full limit. I'm not really worried about that right now. I'd settle for just being able to draw some of it out whenever I need to. Very well, let us begin with your first lesson. You mean now? Naruto asked. It's kind of late, and I have homework. Kuyu frowned at him. The Lord Kyuubi's instructions were clear. I am to teach you the ways of the kitsune. That is infinitely more important than any school work. Well, all right, he smiled at the man. I guess since you'll be my teacher I should call you Kuyu-sensei. Kuyu shrugged. You may call me that if you wish. And you can call me Naruto if you like. No, Kuyu said firmly. Even if you are nothing more than a lowly human, you possess the divine presence of the great lord. I shall refer to you as Uzumaki-san. You're not exactly social, are you? Kuyu frowned at him. Were you not the container of the great lord, I would want nothing to do with you, human. To be blunt, I don't think any humans should be at this school even if they are of the border races. Humans are weak, cowardly, and treacherous and are the natural enemies of all monsters. I see, Naruto said. Well, all right, but just so you know, I won't be inviting you to my next birthday party. Kuyu gave an annoyed shake of his head. Let us start with the first most basic lesson. Kitsune are beings of passion and fire. For us, our emotions bring out our full strength. But along with that passion must come a level of control. He held out his hand and created a large flame in the middle of his palm. Fire is our natural element, creating and shaping it are our innate gift. He made the flame blink out. Now I want you to concentrate on that kindling there and set it on fire. And just how do I do that? It's simple. Just concentrate on the image of that wood burning and bring a little of the power out. Picture the fire and then make it happen. Just make it happen, Naruto said doubtfully. It is easy, now try. Several hours later, a frustrated and annoyed Kuyu glared at him. Enough. The sun is almost up. We have wasted the entire night on something a newborn can do. Naruto gave the man an angry look of his own. He was tired and annoyed and sick of the pointless lesson. Well, maybe if you actually gave me some instruction on what to do, I might manage it. I have told you what to do 100 times. Telling me to just do it, or just bring the power out, is not instruction. If I knew how to do that, I wouldn't need a teacher in the first place. Enough of this, he began walking away. I have other duties I must attend to. We will meet again tonight. You know I'm going to need some time to sleep and study. With the Great Lord inside you, 3 or 4 hours of sleep should be all you need. As for your school work, you do not need to worry about it anymore. What does that mean? Naruto called out, but Kuyu did not bother to answer. Feeling beat and not in a very good mood, he trudged back to the dorm. He decided to take the same route as yesterday. As he approached the pond, he spotted the same girl from last time. He watched as she skipped a stone across the calm water. He counted each of the skips before the stone disappeared. 7. That's pretty good. The girl turned around and looked up at him startled. Sorry, am I bothering you? She slowly shook her head. No, I'm just not used to having people talk to me. Really, I'd think a pretty girl like you would be awfully popular. She immediately blushed and looked away from him. Damn it, why do I always say the wrong thing? Sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you. She looked up at him shyly. That's all right. He approached her and picked up one of the pebbles on the ground. Mind if I try? She shook her head. He reared back and threw the stone as hard as he could. It went straight into the water with a decent-sized splash. She smiled a bit. You really suck at skipping stones. He gave her an embarrassed nod and rubbed the back of his head. Aw, come on, it's the first time I've ever tried this. She looked down at the ground and picked up a smooth pebble. She carefully placed it in his hand. Your angle is all wrong. You need to try and throw it so it hits the water almost flat. Don't throw it too hard, just relax and toss it. He nodded and gave it another try, following her instructions. This time the pebble did skip. It bounced across the water 3 times before disappearing. He turned to smile at her. Hey, you're a pretty good teacher. She blushed again. Thank you. You wouldn't know anything about how to make fire, would you? She stared at him for a second and then suddenly burst out laughing. He laughed a little too, but didn't think what he'd said was that funny. Sorry, she said once she had brought her laughter back under control. But I'm about the last person who would know anything about making fire. I see. Well, I need to get going and get ready for class. It was nice meeting you. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I am Shirayuki Mizore. May I call you Mizore-chan? She again blushed at his forwardness. Usually when boys tried to talk to her, her normal reaction was to run and hide. But there was something about this particular boy she just liked. It was almost as though he had a natural gift for making friends. Digging her foot into the sand a bit, she managed a slight grin despite her embarrassment. Sure, if you want. Great, and you can call me Naruto-kun if you like. He turned to go. It was really nice talking to you. Hey, he stopped and looked back at her. Yes. She hurried up beside him. Would you mind walking me back to my dorm? She carefully put a hand on his arm. He smiled. I'm always happy to escort a pretty girl and keep her safe. After a hot shower and big breakfast, Naruto stumbled into his home room. He could already tell it was going to be a long day. He was half asleep when there was a slight stir in the classroom. He opened one eye to spot a familiar face. His homeroom teacher spoke up in a pleased tone. "Shirayuki-san," Nekonomiya-sensei greeted. "It's so nice to have you in class finally. Please take any open seat." The girl nodded and slouched over to a seat near Naruto's. Sitting down, she gave him a shy smile. "I never knew we were in the same homeroom, Naruto-kun. I feel lucky." He returned her smile. "Me too." Kurumu, who was sitting in the seat next to Naruto, did not fail to notice this friendly interaction. Before she could comment on it though, the door to the room opened again. This time there was a much greater stir. A man with long blonde hair and a black coat entered the room. Nekonomiya-sensei's reaction to his presence was definitely a bit nervous. "How can I help you, Kuyu-san?" He gave her a polite bow and turned to address the class. "I wish to make an announcement. Uzumaki Naruto has just been made a member of the Student Police Committee. I trust you will all treat him with the respect due his new position." "What?" Naruto sat up. This was news to him. "I'm a member of what?" Kuyu turned to him and gave him a bow. "I will explain your new position and responsibilities when we meet after class tonight, Uzumaki-san." With that, Kuyu left. Naruto looked about. People in the class were all talking nervously, and commenting not only on the announcement but on the respectful treatment Naruto had just received. He looked over to Kurumu. "What the hell just happened? What is this student police thing?" She shrugged. "I don't know, I've never heard of it before. They're a special group of elite students who help keep order and enforce the rules on campus." Mizore spoke up. "They have the power to investigate and even arrest people and hold them. They're kind of scary." Kurumu frowned at the purple-haired girl. "Naruto, who is she?" "This is Mizore-chan," he said simply. "My new friend." That evening he met with Kurumu and the other 4 members of the Student Police Committee at their gloomy headquarters. "What's the big idea of enrolling me in a group without even asking me first?" Naruto demanded. The other members looked stunned at the belligerent tone, and even more surprised when Kuyu did not tear the arrogant boy apart. "You should be grateful, Uzumaki-san. I don't actually expect you to do anything for the committee. You can think of the title as honorary. And now that you are one of us, you won't need to worry about schoolwork anymore." "Just what does that mean exactly?" "The faculty and the committee share a certain understanding," Kuyu explained. "They realize how many responsibilities we have maintaining the peace and order at this academy, and thus show us a certain amount of consideration." Consideration? A woman with long dark hair cleared things up for him. "You can stop going to classes now. You'll pass everything with AB even if you never show up to a single class." "They actually let you get away with that?" Kuyu nodded. "It is only reasonable, wouldn't you agree? This way we do not worry about pointless studies, and in return the faculty need not worry about our investigations." Sudden understanding dawned on him. "The teachers are actually scared of you." The dark-haired woman smiled nastily. "Anyone with sense would be scared of us. In any case, Uzumaki-san," Kuyu said, "you no longer need to worry about your school work." Frowning, he turned to leave. "You'll have to excuse me, I need to go study for my biology test tomorrow." "Why bother?" Kuyu asked. "You'll get AB whatever you put down. My orders from the Hokage were to attend this school and pass my classes. That's my mission. A ninja should carry out his mission without looking for or expecting shortcuts. And to be honest, I don't want special treatment." As soon as he was gone, the dark-haired woman turned to Kuyu. "Why are we taking that? Especially from a half-breed? I am under orders to protect and instruct him Kito. Regardless of what he is, Uzumaki Naruto is under my protection, which means he is under the protection of the committee." He looked at her and grinned. "Is that clear?" Unhappy, she still nodded. "It's clear, even if I don't understand it." Kuyu nodded. It was enough that he would be obeyed. He thought about the story of Cadmus and the Kitsune. It was a favorite tale and every Kitsune knew it. Cadmus had been a giant. Hearing that Kitsune had great magic, he found a young one and swallowed him whole. He immediately gained the use of the fox's magic and over the years grew very powerful. But one day all his great powers disappeared and he began to suffer terrible stomach pains. He watched as a fully grown fox tore its way out of his belly. The Kitsune had survived being swallowed and simply waited until the day he could take all the giant's power and escape. When the Great Lord had mentioned Cadmus, he'd understood immediately the hidden instruction. Lord Kyuubi wanted Naruto to grow strong enough to wield my full power one day. But no human body could ever withstand that much power. At the nine-tailed state the body would be fully and permanently transformed into a kitsune's. And no human seal would be able to prevent it. Naruto would cease to exist and the Great Lord would be fully restored. The challenge would be to keep Naruto alive until he was ready to attempt the nine-tail state. It was possible to have the Great Lord's personality emerge much sooner. Left unmanaged he would have great influence at four tails and likely fully take over at the six-tail state. But that would be very dangerous. An uncontrolled transformation might very well kill Naruto and the Great Lord along with him. There was also the possibility of the two psyches being permanently merged together. The idea of the Great Lord being influenced by a human was distasteful in the extreme. No, the safest and surest route was to help Naruto along the path to power. To strengthen and protect him until he was ready for the final step, at which point Naruto would meet his demise and the Great Lord would be reborn. The following day the bus was making a special trip in from the human world. You seem to be handling the journey very well, the bus driver commented. The old ninja looked up from his notebook. I've done a lot of traveling and seen a lot of things. This isn't that big a deal to me. Oh really? The bus driver said conversationally. The spiky-haired ninja smiled. Of course, after all, I am Jiraiya the legendary Toad Sage. Chapter 14. A Second Seal. Naruto was sitting down to a nice relaxing lunch with Kurumu and Yukari at one of the outdoor tables. His appreciation for his friends had only grown in the last couple days. Just about everyone else was treating him as though he might be contagious. Even the teachers seemed to be wary of him now. It was a real relief to be able to sit down with the two of them and actually be treated like a normal person. So when do you think Mocha-chan will be back? Yukari asked. Well, hopefully either today or tomorrow, Naruto said. Naruto-kun, why were you placed on the student police committee? Yukari asked. From what I can tell they don't really like people like us. Not only that but normally they only accept the most powerful students as members. That was a difficult question. Well, it's really sort of an honorary thing. Kuyu was asked to protect me and this was his way of doing so. Asked by whom? Yukari wondered. All I can say is it was someone very powerful. Yukari frowned. She was obviously not buying it. Say Naruto-kun, Kurumu suddenly spoke. What do you call that thing you wear on your forehead again? This is a hitai-ite, why? She pointed. Because there's some weird old guy heading this way wearing one too. Naruto turned around to look. Sure enough, there was an old man with spiky white hair and a red and beige outfit heading straight towards them. He had on a hitai-ite, but it was not a leaf one. The symbol on it read, oil. The weird guy came straight up to him, though his eyes seemed to be focused on Kurumu's chest. You're Naruto, he said. It wasn't a question. He held out a sealed envelope to him. Read this. Naruto quickly took the envelope and opened it. The letter inside was short and to the point. It also bore the signature and seal of the fifth Hokage. When he was done he looked up at his visitor with surprise. You're Jiraiya, one if the Sannin. He remembered Iruka's lessons on the exploits of the Sannin. I sure am kid, I'm the one and only Jiraiya, famed Toad Sage and author, as well as a legendary lover of women. Though addressing Naruto his eyes remained locked on Kurumu's yellow sweater. Naruto quickly got up to stand in front of Kurumu. Hey, could you at least be a little less obvious you pervert? She's only 16. Kurumu giggled. Oh, you don't need to be upset Naruto-kun. I take it as a compliment. And if he causes me any trouble I'll just charm him and turn him into my slave. Jiraiya leered at her. Sounds like a great way to spend the weekend. He gave Naruto an approving grin. Not too bad kid, you've only been here a few months and you've already got 3 girls. 3. Naruto was surprised and slightly alarmed. How did he know about Mocha? Jiraiya nodded towards a nearby trash can. I'm counting the little honey over there who is stalking you. All eyes turned to the garbage can. A purple-haired head popped up from behind it. Hi. Mizore-chan, Naruto said. What are you doing back there? Having lunch, she answered tranquilly. I've got to give you credit kid, Jiraiya said admiringly. I didn't get my first stalker until I was 19. He gave him an obvious wink. So are you dating all of them? No. Naruto said sharply. I happen to have a girlfriend. At that statement Kurumu looked annoyed, Yukari looked pleased, and Mizore looked very disappointed. You've got a girlfriend on top of these three. Nice. Jiraiya chuckled but then finally seemed to become a bit more serious. Anyway kid, as that letter says I'm here to evaluate your situation and take whatever steps prove necessary. Now we need to go somewhere private where we can talk. We can go to my room. Naruto said. Fine, said Jiraiya. But Naruto-kun lunch is almost over, said Yukari. What about class? This is an order from my Hokage, it takes precedence over everything else. Alone together in Naruto's room and away from any pretty distractions Jiraiya became all business. He pointed to Naruto's hitai. Take that off, you're not a ninja and it's a crime to wear one unless you are. Naruto crossed his arms over his chest stubbornly. Iruka-sensei gave this to me and said he considered me to be a ninja. Anyway, it might be a crime for me to wear it in Konoha but it's not against the law here. Jiraiya gave him an annoyed look. Fine then. Wear it if you want, but remember it doesn't change your status in the village. Now let me get to the reason why I'm here. We just received a report that you used the Kyuubi's chakra. I'm here to confirm whether or not that was the case and to get an oral report from you on exactly what happened. I see, Naruto answered warily. Well it's true, I did use the demon's chakra during a fight. I had to, if I hadn't I'd have died. Jiraiya nodded and took out his notebook. Go ahead and tell me everything that happened. Naruto knew that Jiraiya was right and that technically he was not a ninja. But in his own mind he'd been one since the day Iruka gave him his hitai. From that time on he had consciously tried to act as a ninja. Despite the bad memories and hard feelings he was still determined to return to his village and be a fine ninja. His dream was to earn respect, not from the village or from the Hokage or his fellow ninjas. He wanted to earn Iruka's respect, he wanted Iruka-sensei to be proud of him. That was his dream. His duty as a ninja was to report everything that had happened involving the Kyuubi. However, as Mocha had pointed out just a few days ago, trust was a precious thing and not easily earned. Naruto did not trust his village or the Hokage or the stranger standing in front of him even if he was Jiraiya. Everything that touched the Kyuubi was dangerous to him and needed to be handled with the greatest of care. There was also the matter of Mocha's involvement in the original fight. He would not do or say anything that would put her in danger. His decision was to tell Jiraiya most of what had happened involving the Kyuubi. He described in detail the effects of the transformation and of gaining the red chakra. He admitted to making contact with the Kyuubi and gave a fairly accurate description of the conversation. But in his version the Kyuubi agreed to aid him directly, he made no mention of Kuyu. Likewise he did not mention Mocha at all. The Sannin listened to everything Naruto had to say while scribbling notes down. When Naruto was done Jiraiya looked him in the eye. You left some things out didn't you? Tell me everything kid. I already have, Naruto said calmly. Don't even try kid, I've been interrogating people since before you were born. I can spot a lie a mile away and your story doesn't ring true. What are you hiding? Nothing. This isn't a game kid, the Hokage needs to know everything. Now what aren't you telling me? Nothing. Naruto remained calm. I'm sorry if what I've told you isn't what you want to hear. Jiraiya frowned, he was certain Naruto was leaving something out. I can arrest you and haul you back to Konoha for interrogation. Fine, I'll pack my things. Jiraiya stared at him and Naruto stared right back. Finally it was Jiraiya who broke eye contact. All right. But if you should happen to remember something later send a letter out to your old address in Tokyo, we'll receive it. Now take off your coat and shirt. Naruto looked at him suspiciously. Why, you into boys too you big pervert. Quiet kid, I happen to be the world's top seal master. I am going to inspect the condition of your seal, and I'm going to give you a second one that will help you in drawing the Kyuubi's chakra. You're kidding, you mean the village is actually going to give me some help? That's right kid, Jiraiya said solemnly. Well it's about time, he eagerly began removing his clothes. Maybe you can help me with learning jutsus. No, Jiraiya said sternly. I'm not going to teach you anything about any jutsus or give you any information. My mission was to collect your report, check your seal, and add the second seal if you really had access to the Kyuubi's chakra. That's it, I'm not here for anything else. But, Naruto was eager to tell him about Yukari's book and about the fact that he was learning jutsus on his own. No buts, kid, Jiraiya cut him off. The Hokage doesn't want you learning any jutsus until you come home. He doesn't. No, he doesn't. He wants you to try and develop your ability with the Kyuubi's power, but he doesn't want you learning any additional jutsus or ninja techniques. Your ninja training will begin again once you're back in the village. Until then, just concentrate on your school work and on developing your demonic abilities. That is why you were sent here after all. I see. Naruto was very glad that Yukari's book was well hidden. Once Naruto's shirt was off, Jiraiya did a thorough examination on the seal. He finally nodded in satisfaction. The seal is holding just fine. Now, he took out a jar of ink and a paintbrush. I'll add the second seal. The Yondaime's seal had been placed on his belly. Jiraiya's was being carefully drawn on his chest. It was intricate and Jiraiya went about painting it on slowly and carefully. Say pervert, Naruto said idly. Damn it, kid, call me Jiraiya, or better yet call me Jiraiya-sama. So pervert, Naruto continued. I want to ask you something. What? Jiraiya continued to draw carefully. You were the first one offered the position of 5th Hokage, right? That's right. What about it? I was just wondering, why'd you turn it down? The Hokage is recognized as the most powerful ninja in the village. I can't imagine why anyone would turn that down. I sure wouldn't if it were ever offered to me. I turned it down because I damn well knew I wasn't fit to be Hokage. But you're a Sannin. Who could be more powerful than you? Jiraiya shook his head slightly as he dipped his brush in the ink jar. Being Hokage isn't just about raw power and fighting ability. It demands something that I was lacking. A sense of morality. Jiraiya grinned, actually appreciating the dig. No, though that was the excuse I gave the council. What I lacked, kid, was the necessary and vital ability to harden my heart. Huh, Jiraiya sighed and tried to explain. A Hokage is not only the strongest ninja in the village. The Hokage is also the one who is responsible for the safety and well-being of the entire village. He must make decisions that are for the best for the village as a whole. That often means having to make some cruel choices, sacrificing individuals for the greater good. Naruto immediately thought of his father and the decision he had made. The sad truth is the Hokage must be willing to do terrible things if they lead to a greater good. You mean like plant a demon into an innocent baby? Naruto said dryly. That is one example, Jiraiya said quietly. There are many others. One of the terrible facts about being Hokage is that you must be ready to sacrifice the individual for the greater good. Destroy an innocent man if it saves 1,000 others. That's a part of being Hokage, and I knew it wasn't in me. I knew the 3rd and 4th Hokages very well. One was my sensei and one was my student. They were both good and decent men. But they both had the ability to harden their hearts when it was necessary. That was just one skill I never managed to pick up. I could never give that sort of order. He added a few more brush strokes. Though I've done terrible things when receiving such an order. He added quietly. Before too much longer he was finally done. He put away his ink and brush. Seal. Naruto felt a slight burning sensation as the ink was made into a permanent seal. How's it feel, kid? Not too bad. Naruto rubbed the spot on his chest. Jiraiya looked at him sadly. I want you to know something, kid. What I did under the Hokage's orders. I had no choice. Please forgive me. He made a simple hand sign. Pain. Ah. Naruto screamed as it felt as though a sword had been slammed into his chest. He collapsed to the floor, clutching where the pain was, below his new seal. Jiraiya ended it after only 3 seconds. Naruto was still on the floor gasping. I'm really sorry I had to do that, kid. But my orders were that I give you a demonstration. Lying on the floor, Naruto looked up at the old ninja. What did you do me? That seal I placed over your heart, I'm afraid I lied about what it was for. Jiraiya answered. It has nothing to do with gathering the Kyuubi's chakra. It's a variation of the Hyuga caged bird seal. It can be used to stop your heart as I just did, to inflict pain. It can also be used to destroy your heart and kill you instantly. Naruto stared up numbly. The sheer betrayal of what had just been done to him. Why? Jiraiya sighed. Why do you think, kid? You've just started to access one of the greatest powers known to man, a power that almost destroyed the village. The Hokage decided that this was the best way to ensure your loyalty. I was already loyal. I was going to return and serve the village. Why couldn't I have been given the same chance to prove myself as any other ninja? Because kid, none of those other ninja have the power to wipe out the village. Maybe you would have been loyal, but the Hokage decided he couldn't take the chance. And since he uses seals to control members of his own clan, it's not really surprising he would decide to use one on you. Naruto slowly got back to his feet. Why don't you just go ahead and kill me now then? Jiraiya shook his head. You don't get it, do you? The Hokage doesn't want you dead. He really does want you to learn how to access the Kyuubi's power while you're here. He wants you to return to Konoha and become a ninja and serve the village. You can become the most powerful weapon in our arsenal. You alone could guarantee Konoha's safety and supremacy. And if I ever step out of line, you kill me, Naruto said bitterly. I won't be a ninja. I'll just be a tool or a slave. It won't be that bad. You'll get to have a good life. You'll be treated with respect and be really well paid. I'm sure that before long people will see you as a hero. A hero? Naruto laughed cynically. Heroes act out of their own free will. I've just had mine taken from me. Look, kid, I'm not asking for your forgiveness or even your understanding. Maybe those things will come in time, but for right now you have to accept this is how things are. Now that new seal is an S-rank secret, you're not to tell anyone about it. Given what it can do, you don't want people knowing it exists. Only 3 people will know about it, you, me, and the Hokage. Not even the council will know. The Hokage and I will be the only ones who will know how to activate your seal. It will only be used as last resort. So long as you are loyal, you have nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of. He began laughing. Jiraiya looked down. He wasn't proud of this and had tried to argue the Hokage out of it. But Hiyashi's mind had been set. He relied on seals to maintain the loyalty within the cadet branch Hyuga. He would rely on one to guarantee Naruto's loyalty. If it means anything to you, kid, I really am sorry. He turned to go. Wait a minute, Naruto shouted. Since you've done this to me, can you at least do me one small favor? Jiraiya turned back. What sort of favor? Can you give me just 5 minutes to write a letter to Iruka-sensei and then deliver it to him? I won't mention what just happened to me or anything else that is supposed to be a secret. You can read the letter and make sure there's nothing dangerous in it. I just want to tell Iruka that I'm all right and about how my life is going now. Your old sensei really matters to you, doesn't he? Jiraiya felt an old ache as he recalled Sarutobi and how much the old man had meant to him. He shook his head sadly. All right, kid, I'll do one thing for you that I shouldn't. I'll share a piece of information with you. Jiraiya took a deep breath. Iruka is dead, I'm sorry. What? How? When? Ever since the attack on the village we've been short-handed. We've needed everyone to do all that they could. Iruka died on a mission to Wind Country a little over 2 years ago. 2 years. His voice echoed. I couldn't even be told and allowed to mourn for him. The Hokage thought. Go to hell. He turned away from Jiraiya. Seeing there was nothing more to be done, Jiraiya quietly left. This isn't official, Naruto. Technically you are only a citizen of Konoha and will not become a ninja until you return to the village. But, so far as I am concerned, you are a ninja. Be strong and remember everything I have taught you, and I know we will meet again one day. After Jiraiya's visit, he had blown off the rest of his classes as well as club and would not be meeting Kuyu. He was standing on one of the academy's rooftops staring at the setting sun. He had his Hitai in his hands and was remembering the last words Iruka had spoken to him. It wasn't supposed to be like this. He thought. I was going to be a great ninja and you were going to be proud of me. How did it come to this? He was so lost in his own thoughts that he didn't hear the door to the roof open or the steps approaching him. The first he noticed was when he felt 2 arms wrap around to embrace him. Naruto-kun. A sweet voice shouted his name. I've been looking everywhere for you. Why weren't you in class or club? He turned around to look into the face of his beautiful girlfriend. She was in her teenage form with her long flowing pink hair and innocent green eyes. Smiling, he wrapped his arms around her and returned the embrace, pulling her tight. Sorry about that, Mocha-chan. I just decided I needed some time alone. How long have you been awake? She pressed her face into his neck. His delicious scent set her mind at ease. About 2 hours. I've been looking for you this whole time. I'm sorry if I made you worry, Mocha-chan, he said tenderly. It's all right, she said and pressed herself against him. Now that we are together again, everything is all right. He held her for a while in a warm, comfortable silence. Mocha-chan, yes. Do you remember asking me about my future plans? How I told you I was going to return to Konoha and be a ninja? Yes, what about them? He let go of his hold and held out his Hitite to her. This is a symbol of my loyalty to my village. In his other hand he took out a kunai. In a clean and certain slice he cut a deep slash right along the middle of the metal plate, cutting the leaf symbol almost perfectly in two. What are you doing? She wondered. This is what ninja do when they decide to go rogue and become missing nin. It means I no longer bear any loyalty to Konoha. She was not upset by this sudden change of heart, but she was surprised. What's changed? I had a little visit today. He opened up his shirt to reveal the new seal that was over his heart. He told her everything, and as he did so he saw a look come over her face that he hadn't seen there before. Though he'd seen it on the adult Mocha more than once. It was a look of pure fury. How could they do that to you? How could they be so faithless? She looked and sounded absolutely livid. It's because they don't really want me as a ninja, Naruto said dully. They want me to be an obedient slave. I hate them, she said suddenly and with real passion. I hate that they could hurt someone as kind and decent as you, Naruto-kun, and do it so callously. I really do hate them. Good, he slowly nodded. Because I hate them too. He gave her a wicked, and slightly fox-like grin. And one day I swear I will pay them back everything I owe them. Chapter 15. Plans and Strategies. They were in her room on the couch. She was curled up on his lap and they were having a rather intense make-out session. His mouth eagerly explored hers as his hands caressed her underneath her shirt. When his hand rubbed her in just the right way she would give out a tiny gasp of pleasure. After telling her what had happened she had insisted that he come back with her to her apartment so she could console him. Naruto decided that this was one of the best parts about having a girlfriend. If he'd still been alone he'd have spent the night moping, feeling sorry for himself. Maybe he would have worked out some to get rid of a little of the frustration. This is so much better. After a very satisfying time Mocha rested her head against his neck and let out a contented sigh. Naruto, being a 16-year-old boy, would have liked to have done quite a bit more. But he was sure that if he even tried it the other Mocha would end his life even before his village could. Naruto-kun, Mocha spoke up while continuing to rest against him. Did you find anything useful in the book? He glanced at the book that was lying open on a small coffee table. He had insisted on going back to his room to retrieve it. Not really, there's only a small entry on the Hyuga caged bird seal, not even a half a page. It doesn't mention anything about how the seal is applied or if it can be safely removed. There was one interesting thing though. What's that? She asked and began to nuzzle his neck. It specifically mentions that for the seal to be activated the subject must be in the line of sight of the user. That at least means the Hokage can't just kill me while he's sitting in his office. Someone would have to be sent here to do it. He shrugged. That's still not really great news. It means anyone who was taught the proper hand sign can execute me as soon as they see me. She looked up at him nervously. So what are you going to do? He bent his neck to give her a quick kiss. For right now, nothing. Nothing. She sounded surprised. But didn't you say you no longer had any loyalty to your village and that you were going to be a rogue ninja? I did say that, and I meant every word. Then how can you do nothing? For the time being it's the best course of action. I may have decided to go rogue, but right now only the two of us know that. The Hokage and Jiraiya and all the rest are probably convinced they have me right where they want me. They're probably 100% sure I'll do whatever they say. So that means so long as I keep playing the part of the obedient little soldier they'll leave me alone. If I up and leave though they'll send hunter nins after me, and you can bet every one of them will know the secret hand sign to kill me. So I'll stay right here and play my part until I accomplish two things. What two things? Well, first I have to get this damn seal removed. Until that's done I really am at the Hokage's mercy. He sighed. The problem is I don't know much about seals except the basics. And since Jiraiya is a seal master, I seriously doubt what he put on me will be easy to get rid of. To be honest, I'm not even sure where to start. Could you try asking the Kyuubi or Kuyu? Naruto shook his head. No, definitely not. I wouldn't trust anything that damn fox tells me about removing seals. He would definitely try and trick me into removing or at least weakening his seal while getting rid of the other one. I trust Kuyu only a little more, but that's only because he can't kill me without killing his precious Lord Kyuubi. But even if he knows about seals, I wouldn't trust him not to try and mess with the main one while pretending to help with Jiraiya's. Well, what about asking Yukari-chan? He frowned. Maybe, but from what I've seen, her magic has nothing at all to do with chakra. I doubt she would know anything. Maybe she has a book that could help. He thought about it. Well, that's a good idea. It's at least worth asking about. Though I'll have to be very careful about how I ask. I don't want her asking me too many questions. Mocha looked a bit sad. You're not going to tell her about what happened to you? No, I'm not, Naruto said firmly. You're the only one I trust with this. So far as Yukari and Kurumu-chan are concerned, I had a pleasant chat with the pervert who came here just to check up on me. I don't think either of them would ever betray you, Naruto-kun. I don't think so either, but even though I like and care about them, I'm not ready to trust them with my life. He bent down and kissed her again. This time it was a deeper and much slower kiss. You're the only one I'll trust completely. I love you, Mocha-chan, and I trust you with my life. She felt warmth fill her heart. She leaned forward and gave him a kiss of her own. I love you too, Naruto-kun, and I will never abandon or betray you. She was a little sorry that she couldn't talk to Yukari and Kurumu about this, but at the same time she was happy to know he trusted her more than anyone else. I think I may know somewhere we can go to get help with your seal. Do you feel like taking a trip with me to the world of Jin Sunday? He looked at her. Is it safe? Absolutely safe. Just as long as you don't say anything and let me do all the talking. Okay. I guess. So removing the seal is one thing. What's the other? I need more of the Kyuubi's power. From everything I've read and from the stories Iruka told me, it's obvious I've only just scratched the surface of what's locked inside me. I also need to be able to draw it at will, and not just when the damn fox lets me. When the day comes that I settle accounts, I'll need to be able to use all of the Kyuubi's power. What happens when you've done those two things? Then it will be time for me to leave here. He looked down and saw she was worried. When that time comes, will you come with me? Yes, she said instantly. Don't you want to think about it? You don't have to answer right. He was abruptly cut off when she put a finger on his lips. I don't need to think about it, Naruto-kun, she said serenely. I love you. Since we've been together, I haven't felt lonely. I don't care where we go or what hardships we face. I'll be happy just so long as I can be with you. He smiled down at her, feeling relieved that they could be together. He loved her. As long as he could be with her, he was sure he could face anything. Mocha-chan, he said tenderly. Naruto-kun, she pressed her face against his neck. You smell so good. He chuckled a little, knowing where this was leading. Go ahead. You sure? Yeah. Thank you, Naruto-kun. She eagerly bit him. Despite the pain, he smiled as his beloved girl sucked out his blood. The things we do for love. Jiraiya was glad to be back in the village and off that weird bus thing. Give him the back of a frog any day. Strolling through the gates, everyone was happy to see him. Ninja and citizens alike greeted him and welcomed him back. Ever since the attack that had killed the third, he'd been leading the fight to avenge Sarutobi. The war that had been going on between his village and the villages of Sand and Sound had been long and bitter. For the first couple of years they'd been forced on the defensive, mainly due to the power of that psychopath Gaara. The brutal power of the One Tail had been one of the reasons the Fifth had decided to send Naruto to Yokai Academy, in the hopes he would learn to draw out his full potential. Gaara was an example of the best and worst possibilities of a Jinchuriki. On the battlefield there was no denying his presence was an awesome factor. But he was feared by his own people. He'd even been feared by his father and siblings. The Fifth wanted that kind of power fighting for Konoha, but he did not want an uncontrolled psychopath roaming the streets. Jiraiya had been the only one capable of fighting Gaara on anything close to equal terms. The first time they'd met had been on the day of the sneak attack. Gaara had already been wounded by Sasuke and Jiraiya had beaten him easily. His swift defeat had infuriated Gaara and left him even more unstable and dangerous than before. They'd met in battle several more times after that. Each time Jiraiya had triumphed, but each time it had gotten harder and harder as Gaara learned from his failures and grew more powerful. Being forced to split their efforts with Sound in the north and Sand in the south, things had looked bad for a while. At least until Gaara's assassination by Akatsuki. That had changed the course of the war. With Gaara and the Shikaku gone, Konoha had gone over onto the offensive. They were closing in on Suna and would be able to put the place under siege soon. Once Sand was gone, they would be able to finally commit their full resources to exterminating the snake that had killed Sarutobi-sensei. "Sensei, it's good to see you." Jiraiya looked up to see his apprentice coming up to him. "Hello Sasuke, did you manage to stay out of trouble while I was gone?" Despite not intending to, that had come out with a sarcastic edge to it. Sasuke was used to it from his teacher and simply ignored it. "I did, I managed to control myself for a whole day." "So are we going on a mission to Wind or Sound? Or are you finally ready to let me sign the Toad summoning contract and actually work on that?" Jiraiya frowned at the young Jonin. There was no denying Sasuke's skill or courage. He'd successfully completed 15s and a rank missions. People talked of him as the second most powerful ninja in the whole village, behind only his teacher. Yet despite all that, there was just something about his apprentice that he couldn't completely trust. Despite all the courage he'd shown fighting for Konoha, there was something still brooding inside the boy. He still saw himself as an avenger whose purpose was to destroy his brother and repopulate the Uchiha clan. Those were his priorities. And though he never come out and said it, Jiraiya was certain all his effort at becoming stronger was so he could kill Itachi one day. Serving the village was secondary to that. "I've told you before," Jiraiya said coolly. "Being my apprentice doesn't entitle you to sign the contract. I'll let you sign it when and if I think you're ready." "The Hokage thinks I'm ready," Sasuke said with a slight smirk. Jiraiya stopped to smile back at him. "The Hokage doesn't decide this. It's one of the few things the Hokage does not have the authority to decide. The person holding a summoning contract has always had the right to decide who does and who does not sign the contract. Just be glad the Hokage forced me to make you my apprentice." Sasuke looked unhappy. "Are you still complaining about that? Aren't you finally willing to admit it was a good idea? Haven't I been a great student? Haven't I been a great ninja? What more could you ask for? Someone who doesn't think he's owed whatever he wants just because of his clan name." That had always bothered him about Sasuke. He demanded power and just assumed being given it was his right. For some reason he thought of Naruto then. The kid had really had it rough, but even after what had been done to him he'd still cared about his sensei. Sasuke would only have cared about himself. I wonder what the kid would say if I offered to teach him when he came back to the village. But remembering what had happened, Jiraiya could only shake his head. He'd probably tell me to go to hell. He'd certainly have the right to. Before he could say any more, a pair of high-pitched squeals cut him off. "Sasuke-kun!" Two girls cried out in unison. Immediately a pink-haired and blonde-haired girl fell on Sasuke like a couple ravenous wolves. From what he could tell, these two had been infatuated with Sasuke since they were children. The pink-haired one had even been his teammate for a while. Sasuke had never shown any interest in either of them, but neither of them had cared. As Sasuke's reputation had grown, so had their shameless determination to win his attention. Jiraiya found both teenage girls quite attractive. Normally he would be highly entertained by the sight of two such beauties fighting for a man. But since becoming Sasuke's sensei, he'd been forced to endure endless rounds of their mindless, forehead girl, Ino pig, shouting matches. He had long since come to agree with his student. Even if they were attractive, they were both annoying. "Have fun with your fangirls, Sasuke, I have to report to the Hokage." The great Jiraiya did not have to wait to see the Hokage. Upon entering the Hokage's office, he gave his leader a slight bow. "Hokage-sama." The Hokage nodded to him respectfully. "Jiraiya-san." The way he greeted the Hokage said a lot about his relationship with the fifth. He had always called Sarutobi old man, and Minato had always been kid. There was no such familiarity and warmth between him and Hiashi. There was respect and a certain amount of trust, but the relationship was strictly a professional one. I have the written report. He placed it on the Hokage's desk in front of him. I am eager to read it, the Hokage told him. But give me a quick synopsis. Is it true that he used the Kyuubi's chakra? Jiraiya nodded tiredly. It is, and per my orders I placed the second seal on him and demonstrated its effects. He now understands his situation. Good, Hiashi nodded. I am very pleased to know that situation has been dealt with and is now in hand. It could have been dealt with differently. Jiraiya said. I won't have a psychopath Jinchuriki running wild in Konoha as Gaara did in Suna. Especially not when his potential for destruction is so much greater. There has never been anything to suggest Naruto is a psychopath or even that he is mentally unbalanced. Given everything he has endured, I'd say he is actually quite well adjusted. Or perhaps, he was on the verge of snapping one day. We could have brought him back and given him a real chance. If there had been problems, I could have planted the seal then. Given what he is, even one problem might have been disastrous. Hiashi shook his head. There's no more point in arguing this now, it's done. Yes it is, and Kami help us if that boy ever tries to get revenge against us. Jiraiya said quietly. If he turns on us he will meet a swift end, thanks to your seal. Now tell me, how close is he to wielding the full power of the Kyuubi? He's nowhere near that. From what he described to me it seems he reached only the first tail state. That is a pity, but still it is a promising start. Hopefully he can reach his full potential within the next 3 years. I want to renew my request that he be brought back to the village. I'd be willing to train him myself. Hiashi shook his head. Denied, we have already discussed this option. You have admitted to me you doubt you could get him beyond the 4-tail state without risking death or his loss of control. The information I have about his current location leads me to believe that he will receive greater instruction there and eventually reach the 9-tail state. Until he reaches that point, Uzumaki Naruto will remain where he is. Then can we at the very least give him some information about what's going on and the danger he is in? He doesn't even know we've been at war for the last 4 years. Not to mention he knows nothing of Akatsuki or the threat they pose to him. According to my informants they have extracted 7 of the Biju, though for what purpose we still don't know. Only Naruto and the 8-tail remain. There is no reason for Naruto to know anything about this war or our current situation. Let him remain blissfully ignorant, that will surely make it easier for him to concentrate on gaining the Kyuubi's power. As for Akatsuki, there is no reason at all to panic him. His location is our most highly guarded secret. Even if they somehow learned of it, Yokai Academy is almost impossible to reach without aid. He is far safer where he is now than if he were brought back here. My decision is made, Jiraiya-san. Naruto stays where he is until he has the Kyuubi's full power. Jiraiya knew that Hiashi's mind was made up. Even if it wasn't in his heart, Jiraiya knew it was already too late. The chance Naruto might truly come to care for and want to protect the village had been destroyed by his own actions. By what he had done to his own godson. Please forgive me, 4th Hokage. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.